In the heart of the desert flows a river that nurtured one of humanity's oldest civilizations. Welcome to Egypt, a land of timeless wonders and mysteries waiting to be rediscovered. From the ancient pharaohs who built an empire on the banks of the Nile to the modern Egyptians shaping the future of this historic land, join us as we embark on a journey through the epochs. This is the story of Egypt, where every monument tells a tale and every grain of sand holds a secret. Ancient Egypt, pre-dynastic period. In the words of the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, Egypt is the gift of the Nile. This story began around 6000 BCE when the great river created a lush valley in the midst of a sprawling desert. The Nile, with its predictable flooding, deposits fertile silt along its banks, setting the stage for one of humanity's oldest continuous civilizations. As the Sahara Desert expands, nomadic tribes are pushed towards the Nile Valley. These early people, hunters and gatherers at first, discover the potential of the land. The Nile's annual floods offer them a chance to settle, sow and harvest. By 5000 BCE, small settlements sprouted along the river, exploiting the black soil, known to the Egyptians as Kemet, or the Black Land. The early Egyptians begin domesticating animals and cultivating wheat and barley. The predictability of the Nile floods allowed them to develop cyclic agricultural practices, which led to surplus production. This surplus is not merely food, it is the seed of civilization. It allows some community members to pursue other trades, pottery, tool making, and eventually trade. With agricultural stability comes growth in population and complexity in social structures. Villages expand into towns. Distinct regions, known as nomes, develop, each governed by its own chieftain. By 4000 BCE, artistic expression flourished, seen in elaborate pottery designs and intricate beadwork that were traded along the Nile, spreading ideas and cultural practices. Religion began to play a crucial role. Early Egyptians venerated nature deities, with a particular focus on animal totems and later anthropomorphic gods who represent natural phenomena and abstract concepts. The Nile itself is deified as Hapi, god of the floods, who is believed to bring life and sustenance to the people. As communities grow, so does the need for resources. The Egyptians began trading with neighboring regions, Nubia to the south and the Levant to the northeast. Around 3500 BCE, the cultural landscape of Egypt changed dramatically. The discovery of writing, initially in the form of simple symbols and later as hieroglyphs, enables the recording of transactions and events. Powerful chieftains begin to consolidate their power, leading to the formation of larger political entities. By 3200 BCE, Egypt was on the brink of unification. The legendary King Narmer, perhaps the historical figure behind the mythical Men's, emerges. He is depicted on the famous Narmer palette, wielding the symbols of power and conquest. This artifact, a ceremonial shield-shaped slate, shows Narmer wearing the crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt, symbolizing a unified nation. The pre-dynastic period sets the foundation for the pharaonic age, a time of pyramids and grandiose tombs of gods and pharaohs. The social structures, religious beliefs, and political systems developed during this time persist, evolve, and expand. Egypt's story, marked by its humble beginnings along the nurturing banks of the Nile, continues to captivate the world as a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. The Old Kingdom. The story of the Old Kingdom of ancient Egypt began with the Third Dynasty, most notably with Djoser, whose reign saw the construction of the Step Pyramid at Saqqara. Designed by his vizier, Imhotep, this pyramid was revolutionary, being the first monumental stone building in the world. Following Djoser, the pyramid evolved rapidly. Sneferu, the first pharaoh of the Fourth Dynasty, experimented with different forms, eventually constructing the first true smooth-sided pyramid, the Red Pyramid at Dashur. The apex of pyramid construction is embodied by the Great Pyramid of Giza, built by Pharaoh Khufu. This colossal structure was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. demonstrating not only architectural genius, but also the organizational capability of the Old Kingdom state. The pyramid was constructed from millions of limestone blocks, transported from nearby quarries, and assembled by a large workforce that included skilled laborers, architects, and seasonal workers drawn from across Egypt. The society of the Old Kingdom was highly stratified, with a clear hierarchy from the pharaoh at the top to farmers at the bottom. The elite class, including nobles and high officials, wielded considerable power and influence, often displayed in their elaborate tombs. Central to Old Kingdom culture was the belief in the afterlife, which motivated the construction of elaborate tombs and pyramids. The pharaoh was seen as a god-king, responsible for maintaining order and harmony in the world, both through his rule and through his intercession with the gods after death. In addition to pyramid building, the 5th dynasty saw the rise of sun worship, with the construction of sun temples dedicated to Ra. These temples, such as the one at Abu Ghurab, were open-air and featured an obelisk symbolizing a petrified sunbeam. During the 5th and 6th dynasties, the size and quality of pyramids began to decline, a reflection of changes in religious practices and possibly the weakening of the central government. The end of the Old Kingdom was marked by political instability and possibly famine, as evidenced by texts from the period. The power of the pharaoh diminished, with provincial governors gaining more autonomy. The weakening of the state eventually led to the collapse of central authority and the onset of the First Intermediate Period, a time of relative chaos and division until the rise of the Middle Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom officially began with the 11th dynasty under the leadership of Mentuhotep II, who, from his power base in Thebes, succeeded in reunifying Egypt, marking the end of internal strife and the beginning of a centralized state. Mentuhotep II and his successors re-established strong central authority. They instituted reforms to stabilize and increase the efficiency of government, which included direct royal administration and reducing the power of regional governors. The Middle Kingdom is noted for its advancements in art and architecture, with a more realistic approach to statuary and the portrayal of individuals. Artists created sculptures and reliefs that displayed a subtlety and attention to detail previously unseen, depicting subjects in more intimate, personal settings. This era is often regarded as the golden age of Egyptian literature. Works like The Story of Sinuhe, based on the life of a court official who flees Egypt and later returns, reflect themes of personal emotion and redemption, providing deep insights into the values and concerns of the time. Pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom expanded Egypt's borders, particularly into Nubia, securing valuable trade routes and resources, including gold mines. They also engaged in trade with the Levant and other regions, which brought a wealth of goods and cultural exchanges into Egypt. Military expeditions were launched to maintain Egypt's borders and to assert control over restless regions. Fortresses were built throughout the empire to assert military presence and protect against potential revolts or foreign attacks. The latter part of the Middle Kingdom witnessed a decline in central power similar to the end of the Old Kingdom. Factors included the rise of local nobles' power, administrative inefficiencies, and the increasing threat of foreign invaders, particularly the Hyksos. By 1650 BCE, the Hyksos had taken control of the northern regions, marking the onset of the Second Intermediate Period. This period saw Egypt divided, with Hyksos rulers in the north and Egyptian rulers in the south, setting the stage for the eventual emergence of the new kingdom. After expelling the Hyksos invaders who had taken control of Lower Egypt, the Theban princes ushered in a new era of unprecedented power and prosperity, marking the beginning of the 18th dynasty and the New Kingdom. The New Kingdom was characterized by a centralized authority under the pharaoh, who was revered not just as a god-king within Egypt, but also as a dominant force in the wider ancient Near East. Thutmose III, known as the Napoleon of Egypt, expanded Egypt's empire to its furthest extents, pushing the borders into modern-day Syria and Sudan. His reign is noted for numerous military campaigns and the consolidation of Egypt's power in the region. Thutmose III's strategic military tactics and numerous campaigns significantly increased the wealth and influence of Egypt, filling its temples and treasuries with riches from across the known world. Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs, initially ruled as regent for Thutmose III, but soon declared herself pharaoh. Her reign was marked by peace, prosperity, and remarkable architectural achievements. She commissioned hundreds of construction projects throughout Egypt, including her magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri, which remains one of the architectural wonders of ancient Egypt. Perhaps her most famous achievement was the expedition to Punt, which brought back vast riches, including ivory, gold, and myrrh. The New Kingdom. Midway through the New Kingdom, Pharaoh Akhenaten initiated one of the most radical periods in Egyptian history by establishing a monotheistic worship of the sun disk, Aten. Akhenaten moved the capital to Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, where he built a new city dedicated to the Aten. This period, known as the Amarna period, saw significant changes in art and culture, with more naturalistic styles depicting the royal family. After his death, traditional religious practices were restored, and Akhenaten's capital and his monotheistic reforms were largely abandoned. Rameses II, known as Rameses the Great, his reign was one of the longest and most celebrated in Egyptian history. He is famed for his military exploits, including the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, which ended in the first recorded peace treaty. Rameses II's building projects were colossal, including the temples at Abu Simbel, which were carved out of solid rock and designed to align with the sun twice a year, illuminating the inner sanctum. His successors, particularly those of the 19th and 20th dynasties, continued his building projects, but struggled to maintain the empire's vast territories. The power of the priesthood grew, and the empire suffered from internal conflicts and corruption. Concurrently, external pressures from the Sea Peoples and other groups strained Egypt's resources and military. The death of Rameses V around 1070 BCE marked the end of the New Kingdom, leading to a divided Egypt and the onset of the Third Intermediate Period. This period is remembered as the peak of Egypt's power and artistic achievement, influencing countless generations. The pharaohs of the New Kingdom left a lasting legacy through their monumental architecture, military conquests, and the wealth they brought to Egypt. Today, the New Kingdom is perhaps the most celebrated period in ancient Egyptian history, epitomized by the treasures of Tutankhamun's tomb, which continue to captivate the world. The Medieval Egypt. The medieval period in Egypt marks a transformative era that began with the Arab Islamic conquest in the 7th century, transitioning through various dynastic rules until the Mamluk Sultanate, before concluding with the Ottoman conquest in the early 16th century. Originating from Ifriqiya, modern Tunisia, the Fatimids were an Ismaili Shia caliphate that conquered Egypt and established Cairo as their new capital in 969 AD. They named it Al-Qahira, the Victorious. Under the Fatimids, Cairo blossomed into a major cultural, political, and economic center of the Islamic world. The Fatimids were tolerant of different religious communities, which contributed to a vibrant intellectual and social life. The Fatimids are renowned for their architectural contributions, including the Al-Azhar Mosque, which became one of the oldest continuously operating universities in the world. Salah ad-Din, Saladin, after toppling the Fatimids, established the Ayyubid dynasty. He is celebrated for his role in the Crusades, particularly for recapturing Jerusalem from the Crusaders. The Ayyubids fortified Egypt's defenses, developed its irrigation systems, and patronized arts and sciences. They maintained Cairo's prominence, but shifted focus back to Sunni Islam. This period is considered a golden age for Cairo, with the construction of numerous schools, mosques, and other public buildings that are landmarks of medieval Islamic architecture. The medieval period in Egypt is a saga of invasions, dynastic changes, and cultural metamorphoses. Each phase, Arab, Fatimid, Ayyubid, and Mamluk, contributed layers to Egypt's rich historical tapestry. The architectural and cultural legacies of this period continue to influence Egyptian society and the broader Islamic world, underlining the enduring significance of Egypt's medieval era in shaping not only its own destiny, but also that of the surrounding regions. Modern Egypt. As the 21st century unfolded, Egypt, with its ancient history and pivotal role in the Middle East, found itself grappling with deep-seated political, social, and economic challenges. The culmination of these issues led to a significant moment in Egypt's modern history, the 2011 revolution, an event that would reshape the nation's future and trigger ongoing debates about governance, freedom, and social justice. Prior to 2011, Egypt was under the rule of President Hosni Mubarak for nearly 30 years. His tenure was characterized by economic stagnation, political corruption, and a lack of political freedoms, with power concentrated in the hands of the elite and the ruling National Democratic Party. Widespread unemployment, rising prices, and poor living conditions, especially among Egypt's burgeoning youth population, fueled discontent. Inspired by the successful revolution in Tunisia, Egyptian protests began on January 25, 2011, centered in Cairo's Tahrir Square. The demonstrators, primarily young and from various social backgrounds, demanded the end of Mubarak's regime, calling for bread, freedom, and social justice. The protests grew rapidly, drawing millions across the nation and facing significant resistance from security forces. Under immense public pressure, and after losing support from the military and international allies, Mubarak resigned on February 11, 2011, marking a historic moment of change. The military assumed control, promising a transition to democratic governance. This period was marked by optimism, but also uncertainty about the future of Egypt's political landscape. The post-Mubarak era saw a rocky transition. The Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, SCAF, which led the country temporarily, was criticized for its handling of the transition and for delaying reforms. Egypt's first free presidential elections in 2012 resulted in the victory of Mohamed Morsi, a candidate from the Muslim Brotherhood. His presidency was short-lived. Morsi faced vast public protests due to perceived authoritarian practices and failure to address economic issues, leading to his ousting by the military in July 2013. The journey from the 2011 revolution to the present day highlights Egypt's ongoing struggle between the desire for democratic governance and the realities of authoritarian consolidation. The nation continues to navigate complex social, economic, and political challenges as it carves out its future. As Egypt moves forward, the key questions involve how it will balance security and freedom, manage its economic reforms to benefit the broader population, and define its role on the international stage in a way that supports its national interests and contributes to regional stability. As Egypt continues to evolve amidst its recent political and economic transformations, what role do you think international support should play in helping Egypt address its human rights and economic challenges? Do you believe external influences can be a force for positive change, or they might complicate Egypt's path to stability? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. From the ancient sands of the pharaohs to the bustling streets of modern Cairo, Egypt's journey is a testament to resilience and adaptation. As we've explored the twists and turns of its recent history, we see a nation at a crossroads, facing profound challenges, but also holding the potential for significant transformation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Egypt's complex tapestry. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more insightful content. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and exploring the depths of history.